Hold that thought one more time. Mayor Pete Buttigieg is in the spin room. We'll be back to you, Antoine. Go ahead, Ed and Caitlin. Thanks so much.
I hate to interrupt Antoine, but we do have Mayor Buttigieg, and tonight at least, sir, you are. He's the priority. Good to see you. How you doing?
Good to be with you.
What did you make it tonight?
Terrific night. Good opportunity to lay out my message and explain why I'm not like the others, why the best way for us to advance as a country, but also the best way for us to defeat Donald Trump, is a politics of inclusion, to bring everybody into this process. Diehard Democrats who have been at our side, and a lot of independents who may not be used to voting Democratic, but are sick of what happened and want to see a change. That's not just how we're going to earn, for example, work to earn a great night here in New Hampshire on Tuesday. It's also how we can show, not just tell, what it's going to take to beat Donald Trump so big that Trump and Trumpism go into the history books.
Would it be, what do we call what happened in Iowa this week? Ultimately, you and Senator Sanders may end up getting the same number of delegates. So can we call it a tie, in your view?
I'll let you decide what to call it. I congratulate Senator Sanders on a great night. And for us, it was an extraordinary victory for our vision and our values in a campaign that a lot of people a year ago didn't think would ever make it this far, let alone come out where we came out. It shows you that when you believe in your message, when you gather a grassroots base of support, all those people who came on to PeteForAmerica.com to help us make sure that we could build up and hire that ground game that made it possible for us to win in Iowa, and most of all, the organizers and the volunteers who carried the values of this campaign everywhere they went. Now we're in New Hampshire. It's a different state with a very independent streak, but we see a ton of promise for the same reason in our ability to gather that coalition that will ultimately defeat this president.
You mentioned an important word there, independent, because in this state, independents can participate in the Democratic primary.
That's right.
Which should probably give you a huge advantage given the kind of voter you're targeting.
We think so. And again, it's also one of the reasons this is a state where we can demonstrate how to do the work that will not only earn the nomination, but bring an end to the Trump presidency.
Do you think the party should still have caucuses given what happened in Iowa?
I think we're going to be asking a lot of tough questions after what happened in Iowa.
And you ran for DNC chair.
Yeah, but all that after-action work I know is going on right now. I've got to focus on the road ahead. We're just days away from the primary here in New Hampshire, and then making sure that we do well in Nevada and South Carolina that are not that far off, and of course on into Super Tuesday. So that's going to be my focus, earning those votes and making sure I'm continuing to communicate how everyday life and improving everyday life will be at the center of my campaign and at the center of my presidency.
And Joe Biden was saying that Bernie Sanders, if he's the nominee, everybody running on the ticket will have to have a Democratic Socialist label attached. Do you think that would be the case? Are you concerned about that?
I am concerned about Senator Sanders' approach. And actually, to me, it's less about the labels, because labels get thrown around all the time. To me, it's about a politics that says it's my way or the highway, that if you don't agree with us completely, if you're not all the way out with us on the edge of this spectrum, then you don't count, and we don't want your help. I believe this is a moment where we've got to bring as many people as possible into this American majority. And the great news is there is a majority right now that wants to see higher wages, that wants to see corporations and the wealthy paying their fair share, that is insisting on an end to gun violence, bringing about racial justice, acting on climate. That majority is there. We've got to hold that majority together and grow it, not risk blowing it up with a my way or the highway politics.
And given that the president was exonerated by the Senate this week, that was
another... I wouldn't say exonerated.
Well, acquitted, I would say. How does that factor into how Democrats are approaching this election? Do you anticipate that the president will be emboldened by this?
I'm sure he will. He's already behaving in that way, as you see today with his decision to retaliate against Colonel Vindman. By the way, somebody who has a Purple Heart, a war hero who put this country first. And so this president is going to continue to act in ways that threaten the very core of our system. All the more reason we have got to make sure that in our one chance to defeat him, we bring together that majority that can do it. And my message to Americans who are watching that process, frustrated, exhausted, maybe even tempted to give up and walk away, my message is, hey, the Senate might have been the jury yesterday or this week that disappointed us so much, but we're the jury now. We, the people, get to decide, have the ultimate verdict, not only on this president, but on so many of those senators who protected him.
You end up here in New Hampshire. You got to go to Nevada and South Carolina next. You've seen big jump in donations over the past few days, especially from first-time donors. Have you gotten any indication that you've seen increased interest or support from the Latino and African American voters you're going to need in Nevada, South Carolina, and beyond?
Yeah, we do see that we're getting a second look. And, a lot of the voters of color I talk to make it clear that their priority, too, is making sure we can defeat Donald Trump. We've just begun the process of proving that. Look, nobody is suffering more under the pain of this presidency than people of color. And that is why it is so important to some very pragmatic voters that I'm talking to out there that we put together the campaign that can do it. I think we just had a chance to begin proving it, and New Hampshire will be another chance to do that before we go on the ground and continue the campaign.
So the more you win, the more likely they are to take a look.
Well, we still have to earn it, but that's how we get that look.
Mayor Buttigieg, thanks for stopping by. Now you got a few other stops tonight.
Thank you.
Tanya, forgive us for interrupting, but we suddenly caught him there, so we figured we should chat.
We love when you interrupt with one of the candidates. Thanks. We'll check in with you in just a bit.